Hi there, this is Dr. Deb Harrell bringing you our webinar, Put Your Oxygen Mask On First, Priority Living webinar. I am so grateful that you joined me today for this brief time together, and I'm trusting that this investment of your 30 minutes or so will pay off big time in your life. You know, one of the best, biggest, most important assets that we have in our lives is time. And how we use our time really determines a lot about our life. And priorities really are about aligning the time you spend with the things that are most important to you. I do not take lightly that you're investing 30 minutes of your time with me today. So thank you so much. To tell you a little bit about my story, I actually am a naturopathic doctor and a professional wellness and lifestyle coach now. I teach seminars and lead women's retreats. I am passionate about making a difference in our world. I used to be an accountant, however, for the first 15 years of my career. I was juggling, like many of you, many balls, including raising a small family, have a husband, trying to stay connected with my church and my community, as well as all the responsibilities I had as a professional accountant. What happened to me was I ended up with a duodenal ulcer that left me racked with pain. I lost a lot of weight. I couldn't keep food down. It was really a painful time in my life physically. But what it was for me was a catalyst. It allowed me to really evaluate my life and say, okay, what kind of changes need to happen here in order to live my best life and be healthy for myself and my family? You know, symptoms are simply messengers. You know, unfortunately, in the allopathic medical world, they're in the habit of shooting the messenger. It's like, okay, well, you have a headache, let's shoot it with an aspirin. Quite frankly, when you take an aspirin, it doesn't mean that, and the headache goes away. It doesn't mean that your body had an aspirin deficiency. It actually switched the priority onto the damage that the aspirin caused in the body. The body is super, super wise. God created it that way. And I can tell you that the only thing that heals your body is the body itself. But you have to put your body in the right state, nutritionally, emotionally, physically. All of those things really have to be in line. So when I got this ulcer, I wasn't a naturopath then, but intuitively, I knew that something had to change in my life. So that was actually a catalyst that began a real personal and spiritual journey for me that led me to where I am today. When I was diagnosed with that ulcer, my boss at the time was really great and was willing to pay for me to go to a course called Understanding Yourself and Others. And that course really changed my life. And I was able to really deal with my life, and because nutritionally I was already in a pretty good place, but it really was allowing me to make changes so that I could live my best life. My mission today is to end suffering, both with humans and animals. I believe that our current food system is causing tremendous suffering with obviously the animals that are raised for food, as well as the people who are ingesting all the animal products that they're ingesting. And when I see people die too young, I've worked with people that's with cancer, and when I watched a young mom lose her life in her battle with cancer and leave a 7-year-old son, it just sparked something in me I have to do something about this. I have to do my best to prevent the kind of suffering that caused in that family. And so my passion and my mission is to end suffering, quite frankly. I'm also passionate about helping women transform. I've had my own personal transformation journey, and I just believe that so many women place themselves at the bottom of their list, and they suffer because of it. And really, ultimately, their families suffer because of it. So I'm real passionate because I've had my own transformational journey. I'm really passionate about helping women transform their lives, helping women really determine what it is they want in their lives and really go after that. determine how they want to make a difference, how they want to, the life they want to create versus having this life that kind of oftentimes is thrust upon them and they don't know a way out. So, I think one of the things that could be summed up for my life is, as Jack LaLanne, who's the juicing guy, on his 94th birthday, he said, I want to live all the years I'm alive. And that really sums up me. I want to live, and when I say live, I'm talking about I want to be vibrant, healthy, fulfilled all the days I'm alive on this planet. Many people live lives of quiet desperation. And, just look at the health statistics in America. We've got nearly 70% of people overweight or obese, which affects your health in major ways. We have sick at very young ages. We have type 2 diabetes, which used to be called adult onset diabetes. We have that now happening in kids. And so they had to change the name of it from adult onset to type 2. On and on the statistics go. So I'm asking you today, how would you like to add years to your life and life to your years? Because we can live a long life on this planet. Sometimes we can avoid dying early, but oftentimes we don't have quality of life. So I'm talking about adding years to your life. So living longer, and life to your years. So living better. I like to say, I plan to die young, late in life. Now, how does that sound? Hopefully well to you as well. So who am I? Well, I have a bunch of different, credentials that I could share with you. And if you want those, then I'll share my website at the end and you can go look at those. But I can tell you this, I'm recognized by many as a wellness warrior, somebody who's passionate about making a difference in the wellness picture of our world. And I'm also recognized by many as someone who's living the dream life of owning my time. I'm honored by that, but what many people don't know is that I've struggled with self-sabotage a lot in my life. I've overcome some difficult challenges, came out the other side successfully, and I want to give you the benefit of the things I've learned. I've spent 60 plus years on this planet, and I've learned a lot of stuff. I help stuck women figure out what they really want in life so that they can set their intentions and move in the direction of their dreams. I'm like a genie in a bottle for women, serious about living a vibrant, joy-filled life. And I believe in order to do that, you need to be healthy, body, soul, and spirit. I take a holistic view to health. We have to look at all pieces of what I call the wellness pie, so to speak. We have to look at all of those pieces, and you can read about those on my website as well. And we have to balance those and get those in right order in order to be really to live a vibrant, joy-filled life. I've recognized that oftentimes, we really focus on one area of our lives or a couple of areas of our lives, and then we ignore the rest of them. And we really have to, just kind of balance this all out and really have health, body, soul, and spirit. So that's what I'm really passionate about doing. So today's webinar is for you if you would like to know how to identify your priorities. And that's not always easy. But if you're wanting to learn that, then this webinar is for you. If you'd like to know how to make room for self-care in your busy life, let me tell you, I had to learn that when I got that ulcer. It's not always easy, but I've learned a lot of hacks, so to speak, on how to do that. Or if you'd like to know how to change your life by changing your story. When I say story, I mean the story you believe in your mind and the story you speak out your mouth. Because our words, our thoughts and our words literally determine our life, and we're going to talk about that. Stay tuned if you want to experience more excitement in your life. If you want to be excited about your life again, stay tuned. Stay tuned if you want to be able to focus on what you really want for your life, finally. And stay tuned if you want to have more fun as you feel better, body, soul, and spirit. Now, I only have 30 minutes with you today, which is not nearly enough time to share absolutely everything I've learned about designing and achieving your dream life, but I promise that before we're done, I'll show you where and how you can get more information on this. But I believe that it's really time to stop the insanity. And what is insanity? I know you've all heard what insanity means. It means doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Now, how many of you feel stuck like this poor horse? Well, I'm going to share with you just a few tips to help you get unstuck. You know, Stephen Covey, who wrote a lot of great books, including 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, said, you want to begin with the end in mind. In order to get unstuck in your life, you have to begin with the end in mind. So what do you want the results to be? That's what you have to really look at. So we're going to talk about that today. I want you out there galloping about life. Think about this horse. I want you out there galloping about life, not stuck in the miry clay, not stuck in this fence, because that looks like a pretty rough predicament that horse is in. That's what my goal is, to help you really get unstuck. And really, it's all about taking that first step. I love what Andy Stanley said. He said, the distance from 0 to 1 is often farther than the distance from 1 to 1,000,000. Oftentimes, the hardest part is taking that first step. Because what happens after you start taking the first step and the second step is momentum kicks in, and every step after becomes easier and easier. So let's work on that. How about that? I'm going to share with you 3 keys today. Today, key number 1 is you have to identify your priorities. You must take time to look at what is most important to you, not what someone else wants for you to have as important. That takes time, and that takes introspection. That takes really being honest with yourself. I'm going to ask you to pause this webinar and answer the following questions, and you will have gotten a handout on this, so you should have the spaces there to fill this out. So just pause the webinar after I tell you these 3 questions and answer them. Number 1, if you had all the time and money you needed, how would you spend your time? Because that really tells you a lot about what's important to you. Question number 2, if I gave you a magic wand to change any situation in the world, what would you change? Now, I've already shared with you mine. I'd eliminate suffering. And of course, there's many areas that people suffer, but a lot of them relate to their health and what they put in their mouth. As Dr. Campbell says, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But it's also about really taking ownership of your life and accepting personal responsibility and saying, yeah, what do I want for my life? So if I gave you a magic wand to change any situation, what would it be? Would you eliminate human trafficking? That's one thing I'm passionate about. I can't get out there and work in it because it's too upsetting to me, but I give my money to it. So look at what one thing like really, really gets you excited, causes you to cry when you talk about it. You know, just something that you just need to change. What is that? And question number 3, when do you feel the most alive and joyful? When you feel the most alive and joyful, like what are you talking about when you feel the most alive and joyful? What are you doing when you feel the most alive and joyful? Because that has keys to your priorities. So pause the webinar. Take time to answer these questions, even if it takes 30 minutes to figure this out. You should know. I encourage you to go with your gut reaction. Don't overthink this. People overthink these kind of questions in their lives. They analyze them. I'm a very analytical person, as evidenced by being an accountant. Don't analyze. Just go with your gut reaction. You know what makes you feel most alive and joyful. You know what just burdens you so much that you'd like to change. You know how you like to spend your time. So just stop and answer those questions. Okay, welcome back. I hope that you were able to really get to the bottom of some of these things. Therein lies the keys to your priorities. I encourage you, you've heard the song, probably most of it has heard the song by, oh gosh, I can't think of his name. But anyway, it's Live Like You Were Dying, Tim McGraw. It's a great song. I went skydiving. I would sing for you, but you would hang up immediately. I went skydiving. I went Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. I love deeper, I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I've been denying. That's just the lyrics, some of the lyrics of that song. Powerful song. Carpe diem, live like today was your last day. I also encourage you to live like the loved ones in your life, like this was their last day, because how would you treat them? How would you place them as a priority if you knew they were dying? You would make some changes. If you thought you were dying or you thought they were dying. So live like you're dying and live like someone else is dying, and make the most of today. Because honestly, today is all we have promised to us. Listen, I lost my brother. I was 11 years old. He was 18 years old in a car accident. And I can promise you that morning, none of us thought that that was going to be our final goodbye. Live like today is your last day. Carpe diem, seize this day. Make changes in your life. What kind of legacy do you want to live? I want you to live, and I think you want to live with no regrets. I mean, that's how I want to live my life, no regrets. And I just want to share with you a person that once she realized what her real priority was, she made changes. This is Vanessa. Vanessa came to one of my women's wellness weekend retreats. And one of the things I do with women is I really help them get to what it is their priorities are. What are their top 3 goals and dreams in life? And as we went through this exercise, Vanessa realized that she lived in Orlando, Florida. She wanted to live in Boston, Massachusetts with every fiber of her being. She had a lot of reasons why she wanted to live with Boston. She had always wanted to live in Boston. And there she was in Orlando, Florida, thinking that she was stuck because she owned a house. She had a job that she had had for 10 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can all relate to that, right? Well, when we did this exercise and wanting to live in Boston came up as her number 1 goal, I said, okay, let's develop a plan. Let's break it down into steps. And 3 months later, Vanessa moved to Boston, Massachusetts. She sold her house in Orlando. She quit her job and she got a job in Boston. And 3 months later, she was in Boston. And I can tell you, she is loving life up there because I see her post on Facebook and she absolutely loves living in Boston. And, you know, she could have gone along just for years and years more living in Orlando and not really wanting to be there. So it's just one example that I have of helping someone really identify what was most important to them. Okay, let's talk about key number 2, make self-care a priority. This is one thing that women especially can be very bad at. Put you on your calendar. You know, when you're juggling, you know, raising a family, having a stressful job, a relationship, you know, whatever that you're juggling in your life, because we're all juggling balls, right? We all often put ourselves at the bottom of the list. We take care of the husband, the kids, the whatever, before we take care of ourselves. But in order to live a vibrant, fulfilled life, you have to make self-care a priority. You know, when you don't make self-care a priority, you're a gambler. I hate to tell you, there's a difference between gambling and investing. And when you don't make self-care a priority, you're gambling that this is not going to catch up. You know, that not taking time for good nutrition and exercise and rest and relaxation and all of those things, you're gambling that it's not going to catch up to you and you're going to get one of those dreaded diagnoses one day. I'm encouraging to be an investor and make self-care a priority in your life. Put your oxygen mask on first, as the airlines say. Because the bottom line is, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? You're not going to be here anymore. And that's going to have consequences to people you love and care about. So I'm going to encourage you, make you a priority. So how can you make you a priority? You know, here are a few just little tips on this. I could do a whole talk on making self-care a priority. Realize that good is the enemy of great. Good things that you're doing is the enemy of great things that you could do. And self-care is a great thing that you could do. So maybe it's, you know, you're spending, you know, when you add up the total time that you spend on Facebook every day, scrolling through everybody, learning what everybody else is doing. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when you spend a lot of time doing that, it's going to affect your life in a negative way. So that might be a good thing to do, catching up with, you know, people you love and care about on Facebook. But oftentimes we're catching up with people we barely know on Facebook, and we're wasting all this time when, you know, you could be out there exercising or taking care of yourself. So realize good is the enemy of great. What good things in your life can you eliminate for the great things in your life? Number two, schedule you in your calendar. You have to schedule time in your calendar because otherwise it's going to go, the day's going to be over and you didn't get exercise. And I can tell you one of the ways that I did that, because exercise was kind of my final frontier. I said, look, as soon as I pop my feet out of that bed in the morning, I'm going to go walk. And I decided that I had to make that a priority. And so I just said, that's the way we're going to do it. Guess what? Within a few days, my dogs were trained for that and they don't let me forget it. So it's just my habit, and now my husband does it with me, which is really great. We just literally get out of bed, we put our clothes on and head out the door and go ahead and get that walk in first thing. I put me in my calendar first thing in the morning. For me also, it's important to take time for prayer and spending time with God. So I do that first thing in the morning after my walk, of course. The next thing on my list is that, because that's important to me. It helps me be healthy. And it really sets my day off right. So schedule yourself in your calendar. If it takes, eliminating some other things, get you on that calendar. Use stolen moments. There's stolen moments that we can really help ourselves. Listen to a podcast that's going to uplift you while you're driving. Listen to praise and worship music that will uplift you while you're driving. As you're walking, you can spend time in prayer. I do that a lot of times where I talk to God when I'm walking, and that, I'm using those stolen moments. So take stolen moments and make you a priority. Avoid distractions and set boundaries. Facebook is a perfect example of a distraction. There are so many things that are vying for our attention today. You got to avoid some of these things. Just number one, recognize what they are, and then say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to spend 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening on Facebook, and that's it. I'm not going to pop it up every time I, hear a ding or whatever. Turn off all those notices for those things too, because those will just be a distraction. Set boundaries. Boundaries are so important. Again, good is an enemy of great, and sometimes we need to set boundaries with people and say, you know what, this person's not really very good for me. They're negative. They complain all the time. They zap my energy. I'm going to set a boundary and say, you know what, I'm not spending my time with that person. And if they're family, you might just need to limit the time that you spend with them, because it's just important for your own self-care. Simplify your life. There's a lot of ways that you can simplify your life. Like on the weekend when you have more time, make salad, for example, salads in a jar, big mason jar, put your hard salad ingredients on the bottom, pack it with lettuce and whatever dressing you use on the bottom as well. Pack it full of all the things you want in, stick them in the refrigerator. Right before you go to work in the morning, grab a salad in the jar and some other healthy stuff for your lunch. So that's a way to simplify. Go ahead and make a big pot of really nutritious vegetable soup on the weekend that you can eat all week so that you don't run through the drive-through. That's a way to simplify. And just think bamboo. This is one of my mantras in life. Just think bamboo, because bamboo, it's developing its roots and all of that underneath the soil where we don't see anything long before it grows well. Just think bamboo and realize that, some of the changes you need to make in your life or some of the results you want to see in your life are going to take time. If you're sick and not in great health, that was happening over years prior to now. And getting back to a state of health, start making those changes now. And you're going to see the compound effect of that down the road. And just be patient with the process. Practice gratitude. Gratitude is key to really living a vibrant, fulfilled life. Number one, what do you have to be grateful for today? Because we all have lots and lots of things to be grateful for. And one of the exercises I recommend is doing a gratitude journal. Every night before you go to bed or every morning when you get up, write 5 things that you're grateful for today. And what I try to do, I did this several years ago. I kept a gratitude journal, and I'm doing another one now for a whole year. And what I tried to do was find 5 new things that I haven't listed before. And that gets really hard after a while. But what it does is it causes you to be super zoned in on what to be grateful for, because we take so many things for granted. And so I encourage you, start a gratitude journal. It'll change your life, I promise. And here's my beautiful friend, Isabel, who's a very successful realtor up in Huntsville, Alabama. She obviously, you can see from these awards that she's really good at what she does. She's got small children at home, husband, all kinds of responsibilities. And she was, and she would admit she was not really making self-care a priority in her life. And she ended up with, some pretty serious high blood pressure. So we got together and I've coached her through the process, and she changed her diet. And she, I said, listen, you've got to start resting. And she started, making time for herself, doing yoga, doing exercise, resting and relaxing. And she's doing amazingly well. And that high blood pressure is pretty much totally in check with her. I don't even think she does any drugs now, but she's just feeling so great. And guess what? When you feel good, you're going to be able to be more efficient in what you do. So Isabel's a great story I have of someone who chose to make self-care, really was forced to make self-care a priority like I was. And she's experiencing great results from it. Key number 3, change your story. Change your story, change your life. Again, I talked about this, the stories we tell ourselves, the stories we believe about ourselves. You want to be uniquely you, because cookie cutters only work for cookies. That's it. So you be uniquely you. Don't try to be somebody else's version of you. You be the best you can be in what God's called you to be. Realize that our thoughts lead to our feelings, which lead to our actions, which lead to our results. So if you want to change the results in any area of your life, you got to go back to the thoughts about that in order to change it. A lot of times we try to change our actions, but that's not going to do it. You got to go all the way back to the thoughts. So we got to really work on that. I love what Brennan Manning said. I was constantly trying to think myself into a new way of living instead of loving myself into a new way of thinking. The way you practice self-love is by looking at your thoughts and determining which ones are positive for you and which ones are negative, and work on getting rid of the negative thoughts. And that will change your life. And I work with people on that. Stop and ask yourself these questions. What unique gifts and talents do you have? List 5 of your top accomplishments in life and celebrate each one. Give yourself a big high five. And listen, it can be as small as, hey, I started exercising. Woohoo! That's an accomplishment. There's all kinds of things. Hey, I raised 2 children to adulthood, independent adulthood, and that for me was a great accomplishment. What do people often compliment you on? How do you feel when you look in the mirror? How does God see you? That's a really great question to ask, because guess what? He sees you as perfect. And I can tell you, this is me doing a seminar at the Florida Dental Association's annual conference. And I can tell you that me standing there teaching in front of a group of people is nothing short of a miracle, because I had an experience when I was in 10th grade. A teacher of mine, when I did my first oral report, because my sister was a student teacher in the class, he started questioning me, interrupting me. I ended up running out of the room crying, and it affected me to where I was so scared to speak up at a staff meeting of people I work with every day as an accountant. And my boss back at the time, Cliff Johnson, did a wonderful thing for me. He paid for me to go to the Dale Carnegie course in human relations and public speaking. And by the end of that class, I got the most improved of the whole class. I was still scared to death to get in front of people, but that began my journey of changing that story, that no, I'm not what that teacher at that time tried to put on me, which he did put on me. I had to shake that off. And that was step by step. What if I had kept believing that story? I would not be impacting the lives I am today and doing what I'm doing, because I get up in front of people all the time and speak, and I'm not nervous a bit, because God took me through this journey of really bringing healing to that and changing my story that I told myself about that. Sometimes the most important thing you need is to be your own best friend. We've got to practice self-love by speaking and thinking positively about ourselves. You got to believe in yourself and your ability to impact the world. You are God's greatest miracle. Believe it. So I told you I'd shared 3 things with you, and this is actually going to go a little bit over the 30 minutes, but I'm going to try to wrap it up here pretty quickly. There are actually 7 keys to priority living that I teach. I shared with you the 3. Identify your priorities, make self-care a priority, and change your story, change your life. So we covered those. So what are the next keys? Dream big and break it down. That is so important. And so many people limit themselves in that area. Set the intention and visualize. Draw a line in the sand. We must draw lines in the sand. So important. And use daily support actions to help you. I'm going to share with you, this is my whole process. But, you know, if you're taking notes, these are the steps, and you're going to get a summary of these steps after this webinar. But these steps will give you the best results. Now, I promise you at the beginning that I will show you how you can get more. So if you like what you got out of this session, you're going to love what I have for you, because it will give you everything I don't have time to cover today and equip you to finally focus on what you really want in your life and create the life you want. And the way, what I have for you to learn these 7 steps and really practice them is taught in my Vision Board workshop. And I've got some dates in Gainesville, Florida, on March 24th of 2018, April 21st of 2018. There will be more dates coming. Jacksonville, Florida, April 28th, and May 19th of 2018. Now, most of us have fleeting ideas of what we want to be, do, or have in our lives, but they remain just that, fleeting. I mean, after all, who has the time to intentionally get clear about what they want to create and what God's called us to create? This Vision Board workshop really is a way to sell your own ideas to yourself. Number 1, figure out what it is that's important and sell it to yourself. To anchor your dreams and allow the magic of intention to work in your life finally. And I can tell you, as someone who's made a vision board and seen some amazing results, I've learned it's more than just slapping a picture onto a poster board. It's about prayerfully getting clear on your authentic life and what your priorities are deep in your spirit, which I help you do in this cool process I have. Letting go of what's in the way and then clearly connecting with your dreams while designing a vision that calls out to you. It's about you drawing a line in the sand in your life and finally stepping into your destiny. That's why I'm leading this Priority Living Vision Board workshop, to give you the space you need to intentionally define your dreams and create a vision board. It's part of the process I use in my retreats, and you can do this in one day with me. So I hope you'll consider attending that. And here's what you'll get if you'll attend. Clarity on what you really want, space and time to map out your ideal outcomes, connection with like-minded peers, no negative Nellies allowed, a method to clear the natural gunk out of your life that we all have, tools and time to create your own vision board, all the materials are provided, and a full day of breathing room and dream time just for you. It's such powerful work that the workshop is limited to 10 people, so I hope you'll be one of the 10. So how much is this? The Vision Board workshop, normally it's $99, and I'm offering it to you now, if you act quickly, for $79. I love what Helen Keller said. The only thing worse than blindness is having sight but no vision. I believe without vision, people perish. And one of the main reasons I'm doing these workshops is that I found out in working with people on their health that a lot of people don't make self-care a priority because they simply don't have a vision for their life. They just don't. It's like, you know, if you got in a car to go on vacation, go on vacation and you didn't know where you were going, you might end up somewhere you don't want to spend a week at. So this is about really getting clear about what you want to create in your life. As free bonuses, if you sign up, I will give you free bonuses that are worth, well, number 1, they're priceless. I'm going to give you a food hack guide. So how to really make a good nutrition in your life super easy. I'm going to give you a shopping guide, where to shop for what, and to save money and to live, to eat a really healthy, whole food, plant-based diet on, I'm not saying nothing but it's a most economical way, where to shop for that. And then you'll get a free nutritional consult with me where I'll give you guidance on your nutrition and your health. That's $175 a consult with me. An initial consult's $175. So it is priceless what I'm offering you here today as free bonuses if you sign up for this workshop. What is your health and wellness really worth to you? I believe you're worth it. I hope you will choose to invest in you today. I have invested thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars in my journey, and they have all been worth it. I encourage you to take one day and make you a priority to design your ideal life. And you must take advantage of this offer within 48 hours from this time period. So where can you do this? Go to Embrace Paradise. This is where you can find out more about me as well. You can see some testimonies of people who have gone through my workshops. There's a link to click on to see the 5-star rating I have with as a health professional helping people with their health. EmbraceParadise.com. And I love this quote: the person on top of the mountain didn't fall there. They climbed step by step by step by step. I hope you will begin your journey to your mountaintop by attending this workshop and taking that step. If this sparks your heart in any way, sign up today. Don't put it off until tomorrow, because I'm telling you, these spaces are filling up quickly. And I hope you're going to be one of those people. It's never too late to be what you might have been, Mark Batterson said. Maybe it's, one of the things that often, we put off what's most important to us. And maybe, as Louis Giglio said, maybe it's the sneaky but all too familiar giant of comfort that compels you to live for something lesser. I hope you'll be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Come to this workshop. It's going to be super fun, by the way, and it is only for women, guys, but I would consider doing one that's co-ed or for guys too. But right now, these are only for women. If you live in a place other than the Gainesville or Jacksonville, Florida areas, I'd be happy to come for a group of people to your area and do this. It's super fun. Make that step today and make you a priority, because again, if you don't take care of yourself, where are you going to live? Thank you so much for attending this webinar. I appreciate your time, and please let me hear from you. Visit my website, embraceparadise.com, and go out and live your best life now and create ripple effects that will affect generations to come. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.